and welcome, FPL managers, and welcome to the Zonal Weakness brought to you by Corner Football Fantasy, powered by Fantasy Football Scout. And of course, today Bethany is joining me again. So welcome, Bethany.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Feels like how was your game week? That's an obvious question. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all right. Actually, it actually went quite well considering. So I fairly last minute decided, after weeks and weeks of planning to use my free hit, I decided that I wasn't going to use my free hit because I didn't love the fixtures, and actually I wanted to use some transfers to get my team set up since I'd already used my wild card. So I decided to use transfers to bring in some Spurs players for the long term. So obviously everyone knows it was pretty much a disaster for everyone involved, but it meant that actually I didn't come out too badly. I got 21 points with a -12, which was 9 points and probably my lowest score ever in a game week. But I only dropped from about 420k to 500k, and I've still got the free hit left. So Leno was my saving grace because he got a clean sheet against Spurs, which was incredible because he was just happened to be my goalkeeper. So I actually got a return, which few people got, I think, and because I wasn't on free hit, I managed to avoid Regulon, etc. So yeah, I didn't do too badly considering, and I'm very pleased I've got the free hit to play later. How about you?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. Should I be happy and should I be sad? I don't know, but I think considering everything and how the whole game unfolded, I think I would be happy about it. The fact that I got 19 points, I played my free hit chip, got 19 points, and I thought like I would have a couple of thousands, 100,000k rank drop, but checked, and then I saw that I'm on a green arrow by 2 points. So yeah, there you go.
Much more than that. So yeah.
No, I can't really, and I think thanks for your shout out on Regulian and Ruslav, that I decided to go with Ruslav. So yeah, that turned out to be the only disappointment that I have. Is I was thinking of Wood, and I kind of was really eager to take him, and I was really confident I'll take him, but then was in two state of mind, and I think fear of missing out, Tony and Wissa. Yeah. And then I decided not to take them and went with Wissa and Tony, and then yeah, Regulian red card changed it all, and it went downhill from there onwards, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I think the mother of all blanks is behind us now, and there is the Game Week 30 coming up, and there is double Game Week 34 been declared. I think 37 is already been declared as well. Yeah. I'm not sure, but probably. But anyway, 37 is going to be another double Game Week, but 34 is definitely confirmed. And then Spurs is likely to have triple Game Week, or continuously 2 double Game Weeks. So I'm not sure about that. So keeping all that in mind, and of course, there's a new game that is coming in. Let's focus on the zonal weakness for Game Week 30 and 31, and we'll be doing the 2 game weeks because there is very little time to do, and then we don't have the space and the time to do a zonal in between. So we'll cover up 2 game weeks at the same time. So yeah, be prepared, audience, and let's get started with that. So this is, of course, the zonal weakness for the Game Week 30 and 31. And if you haven't followed, like to subscribe to our channels and our Facebook and Twitter, then please do so. We're producing regular contents there. We would appreciate all the support that's coming from you. And then, of course, all the data that you see, the zonal data included, are from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you want to sign up now, because you would get a 20% discount, and you will have access to all the data as well as all the articles that are there, including from the pro pundits and the experts on FPL. Right. So this is the zonal transfer that we suggested in Game Week 26, and it's Saka and Neto. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think anybody that went Saka in 26 would have been pleased with that. 6.33 points per match. Obviously, 26 and 27 both got returns. A blank in next one, but yeah, I think overall you'd be pleased with 6 points a match, definitely. Neto obviously was disappointing, but I mean, I think he's come away injured. Is that right? Am I right in thinking that? So yeah, like we can't predict things like injuries happening. I think he was a great shout, and if he hadn't got injured, we might have been seeing different things here. But it is a pity because I really like Neto, and I think Wolves in general have been had a rough time, I think, with injuries. Some of their really up and coming players that have done really well for them this season have all kind of suffered quite serious injuries. We've had Kuna out for a while, Neto injured, Wang too. So yeah, a shame, but couldn't have been predicted.
Okay. All right. There's quite a lot to cover. So yeah, hold on, audience. We'll get there. So this is first. Let's start with the zonal for Gaming 30, and then we'll focus on the 31, and then we'll go into the FPL challenges at the same time. Yeah. But in the meantime, Bethany, feel free to discuss any players that you think are important for FPL challenge, because that's a new game that's been launched. So yeah, over to you, Bethany.
Cool. I'm going to start with a team that we don't normally start with, but Fulham is the team standing out for me this week. I think recently they've done so well against bigger clubs. Like, look at their win over Spurs last game week. Yeah, they've just grown in confidence, and they've been quite good defensively all season. Leno's done quite well for me across the season, but they've seemed to Muniz has made such a difference to their attack. So yeah, they've grown in confidence there. So I really like them this week. Obviously, for your normal teams, it's going to be unlikely that you can get more than one, maybe two of them in, unless you're on wildcard. But if you were on wildcard, I'd be going for two of them definitely. I'd be going for Muniz as a third striker to free up funds to bring in Salah, for example. But I'd also be going for one of their defenders too, either Leno in goal or somebody like Castagna as a defender who's got a attacking potential too. I think they're also great as challenge options this week, obviously against Sheffield United. I think you could definitely go for the triple up. In my challenge team, I've gone Castagna, Leno, and Muniz. And I think, yeah,
Ooh.
Plays like that would go down really well. I think you've got to go a bit differential. So like doubling up on them defensively, I think goes down well for the challenge. Obviously, the only negative thing with them is that they don't have doubles coming up. So again, might be why you might play more of them in the challenge rather than in your own team. But yeah, I really like Fulham players at the moment. Some other people that stand out: Spurs, Maddison's looking good, Porro's looking good, and although Son's not flagged white, actually, right flank chances conceded is sixth, and we flag for fifth and better. So actually, he's pretty close. So I wouldn't be too worried there. I think Spurs could do well this week. Similarly, you've got Chelsea against Burnley, and Palmer and Gusto look like great options for anybody, either looking at transfers or wildcard off the challenge. I think Palmer's a captaincy option this week. Really like him. And again, he's ranked sixth for left flank chances conceded there as well. It's a pity I'm looking at this because I actually really like Jackson, but looking at the zonal, it doesn't look great from him from zonal. So maybe one to avoid actually, and I may have to rethink my challenge team. Then we've got Man United. I really like the look of Haaland and Garnacho. Think they're great. Again, Man United attack once Haaland's back. I mean, they've done much better since Haaland's kind of clicked in that attacking. And so, and we've seen Brentford, what a disaster they were again in the most recent weeks. So I think, yeah, Man United players could be really good. A bit disappointing here looking at Liverpool. I know lots of us are looking at bringing in Salah either on a wild card or not, just using transfers. And obviously here, Brighton look a lot better defensively than I thought. And so, yeah, ranked 17th for Salah down the left flank. And yeah, again, making me reconsider my captaincy because at the moment, my armband is on Salah. So maybe moving and swapping it with my vice captain as Palmer. So yeah, this is very helpful for my own team. I hope it's just as helpful for everybody else's. Yep, I've covered most of these. Brentford's looking great there from the zonal, but I'm a bit worried. Obviously, they didn't do great last week, and they've looked a bit shaky defensively for a while. And I just think it's a bit up in the air at the moment with the attacking. Tony looks like he's stepping a bit further back, playing further back, not as attacking. We've got Umbremo coming back, and we're not quite sure how that's going to move things around. They're obviously going to be without Regulon, which may not be a bad thing, to be fair on them, if he's going to go away giving out red cards. But yeah, so I'd probably be avoiding them, even though the Zona looks great. They can be my new Man United team. The Zona looks great, but I'm probably avoiding.
Yeah, and the captaincy, I think that's an important shout that you made. I think it's open this week. So, yeah, there are quite a number of options. Good shout on the Parma one, to be honest. And we were just preparing the thread after a bit back, and then we'll be releasing the thread as well. So there's a lot of focus on that as well. But yeah, those of you who are worried about how do we look at players who are good for 30 and 31, then perhaps look at the Twitter thread that we'll be releasing, and we kind of focused and structured the Twitter thread accordingly to make sure that you are able to target both the fixtures and which players would stand out in that case. Okay, let's see the last one. This is the one for 𝐿𝐴 30, and then we move to the team of the week.
Yeah, so obviously Manchester City and Arsenal play each other this week, which is a big game for that title challenge, as whoever comes out top there will obviously be in a better position going forward. However, I think it's going to be a tight game, and looking at this defensively, they both look great defensively, and I think they'll play that defensive game. I think they'll hope to get that 1-0, and I think it could end up with a 0-0 and nobody getting any attacking returns. So yeah, I think if you can, I wouldn't want too many of these in my starting 11 this week. And I think if you're playing the challenge, it would be a great week to avoid them all together. Because I think even if somebody does manage to get a goal, I don't think it's going to be a game of goals. I think there might be one goal here, and so trying to predict who that one scorer is going to be really difficult. So yeah, I'm actually benching Haaland this week in my main team, or Saka. I've got to decide between them. One of them at the moment it's Haaland that's benched, because I prefer playing midfielders. But it doesn't look great for either team. So avoiding challenge, I think, and try not to have too many of them in your XI in your starting 11, in your main team. Aston Villa, obviously not looking too bad. Marino and Ramsey are the ones that are standing out there. Watkins is 8th for headed conceders, so it's not terrible. But nothing amazing to write home about. Similarly with Bournemouth, if you've got Solanke, he's okay, ranked 7th and 10th, but wouldn't be making any transfers for them, and I wouldn't be using any slots in my challenge team for them.
Well, you decided to bench Haaland. I hope you have a big sofa. At least right now, I can see a proper bed, so that would be sufficient, I guess. But for now, I hope you do have a sofa, Bethany. Yeah? And of course, all the managers who are planning to bench or not try to take Haaland this week, even in their wildcard, and probably thinking of bringing him next week. I'm just trying to be very cautious and not, take the risk of not going without Haaland.
Yeah,
I think I'll just go with him, and you never know.
You never know. He could get a penalty, but just looking at there, in 6 weeks, they've only conceded 8 chances down the centre. That doesn't fill me with hope.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, let's go to the team of the week for 𝐿𝐴 30.
Yep. So we're seeing quite differential picks here. Not a team we're used to seeing at all. I really like that defence. Gusto, I really like. I'm bringing him in my team this week. Porro, I think most of us, especially if you're on a wild card, are looking at bringing in Porro. Or Udogie, depending on whether you've got that budget. I really like both of them, and like I said, I like the Fulham defence. I was actually looking at bringing in Anthony Robinson, but having now seen the zonal, I think I might go with Castagna. I really like Maddison, really like Garnacho. Like I said before, I'm not so keen on Brentford. I just don't trust them at the moment. It's a shame they started the season really, even without Tony, they started the season quite well. But recently I've not been impressed, even since Tony's come back. So I'd probably be avoiding and replacing one of them with Cole Palmer for definite. And I love Muniz up front. I think he could be a great shout. and an enabler for the long term. If you needed to bench him every now and again, I think that's fine. But I also think he can come in your starting 11 regularly too.
Yeah, and there are a couple of important picks for the wildcard as well. The long-term picks, and also targeting Game Week 34, the double Game Week. So yeah, I think this team in that case looks a little bit different. Of course, there's no Salah and the obvious ones. So yeah, but again, some of the picks are there that you can still consider. Garnacho being one of them, Porro and Castagna being one of them. I think this is
I think again
booster as well.
Garnacho with the double, but also he's such an enabler. Again, if you're not going to go for Muniz up front, you need to get some money for Salah somewhere to be able to afford him and Haaland and Saka and potentially somebody like Son. You've got to get that money. So I think Garnacho is a great fifth midfielder again to that you can still trust even at a cheap price.
Right. Okay, so let's focus on Game Week 31 now. And here it is.
Yeah. Interestingly, we're seeing some of the same names that we saw last week pop up in Game Week 30. They're repeated in Game Week 31. So again, Maddison, Porro, Palmer, all look good this week. Again, though, just got to be wary depending on your chip strategy. So Spurs obviously blank in Game Week 34. So while if you've got free hit, that's great to keep 2 or 3 Spurs assets. But if not, you just need to be aware of that. You might have a plan to move them out for Game Week 34. But otherwise, if you're wildcarding now and you don't have that free hit, you probably don't want to load up on them. But otherwise, I like
I'm one
Spurs
of them.
assets. Yeah, I really like the Spurs assets. And again, Son and Johnson, even though they're not flagged there, they're ranked 6th for right flank crosses conceded. So again, still a good shout. Jackson's now made an appearance for Chelsea, whereas he hadn't last game week in Game Week 30. Actually ranked 1st for chances conceded down the centre. So yeah, I like those, and I think if for challenge, potentially again, great options there. We've got unfortunately not as good a game week for Man United. So maybe a week to bench your Garnacho if you brought him in. But things are looking better for Liverpool. So back to being able to captain Salah, I think, next week against Sheffield United. Ranked 4th for chances conceded down the left flank, ranked 1st for crosses conceded down the left flank. I like Liverpool. And then again, I think we just need to wait and see about, say, for example, Darwin, because he is flagged at the moment, I think, injury-wise. So just checking on him and waiting to hear about defence-wise, because I have heard rumours of Robertson being injured too. So don't know whether that's true. I'm sure we'll hear from press conferences and stuff before then. But yeah, just to watch out for. Newcastle not looking great. Everton actually haven't been, again, a poor defence this season. So I know Isaac was looking good last week on the zonal, but weaker this week. So that's that importance of planning a few weeks at a time rather than just looking 1 week ahead. So maybe Isaac somebody for last week's challenge, and then you don't need to rely on him this week. Luton for Arsenal this week. And again, not as many whites as I'd have thought, not as many people standing out, but the ones that are your attackers. You've got Saka, Odegaard, Havertz, Jesus. I would be, if I was wildcarding, I'd be tripling up potentially on or considering tripling up on Arsenal assets, whether that's 2 defenders and an attacker, or if you're not using your transfers to get there over the next few weeks, because obviously Arsenal have got the double coming up in Game Week 34 anyway, so you're definitely going to want 3 then. I personally really like going for 1 defender and 2 attackers, actually. I am hoping to bring in, I've got Saka and I've got Gabriel, and I'm very happy with them. But I actually really like Havertz. I think he's blanked once in 7 weeks or something. Like, he's looking really good. I was uncertain when they brought him in. I wasn't a fan at the beginning at all. Couldn't understand why they bought him. But actually, he's really proven himself in the last few weeks. Really seemed to have got into things. So I quite like Havertz, both as a challenge for punt for that 1 week against Luton, or somebody to bring in longer term into your normal team to have for the double.
Okay. You let's move to the next one then. Sorry, it was not working. Yeah. Okay, here it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. So again, not loads of players standing out. Again, for the second week in a row, Haaland not standing out. So I think there are some people considering who've maybe taken him out and considering bringing him back for a few weeks. And I don't think it's the worst decision. I certainly wouldn't be captaining him in either of these 2 weeks. So that's interesting. Also interesting is the fact that Muniz obviously looks a lot worse this week. So he's against the Nottingham Forest team that haven't been too bad defensively, and they're looking at ranked 15th, ranked 16th for chances conceded down the centre. So again, either somebody that you can bench this week if you've got your other 8 attackers, or just somebody that you brought in for challenge instead and didn't need to play for this week. I'd be avoiding Brentford anyway, and the zonal suggests that too, so that's fine. The ones that are standing out, I guess, are Brighton. And again, they've been quite up and down recently. I'm not sure I trust them, so I wouldn't probably be recommending them. But I do quite like Wolves. So here we've got Sarabia playing in midfield, but often playing up front. Semedo, Dawson. I really like the Wolves picks. They also double in game week 34, so they're not bad transfer for the future either. They're cheap. And yeah, play Burnley, so you can see that kind of clean sheet coming there, but also potential attacking returns for any of these. So yeah, I quite like a Wolves pick for game week 31, and then keep them for the double.
I think I'll go with Ait-Nouri in my
I think I'd probably go for Ait-Nouri too, but it is interesting that it doesn't look, it's not standing out as amazing on the zonal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, but,
I probably would as well, because he's still got the clean sheet potential too against Burnley.
True. All right, let's go to the team of the week, and here it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of these speak for themselves. I don't think there's any surprises in this week compared to last week at all. Salah, Saka, Palmer, I think will all be part of everyone's wildcards if they're wildcarding this week. Spurs asset again, and interestingly, that obviously the zonal team suggests Havertz, which is my favourite too. I really like Jackson up front. We do need to keep an eye out there though, because he is on 9 yellow cards. So if he gets his 10th at any time in the next few weeks, he will have a 2-match ban, which is such a shame that it's come at this point in the season when he's got his doubles and things. But yeah, just want to keep an eye out for Liverpool players are looking really good. So that triple up with Darwin and Robertson as well. Once we check and confirm fitness levels. If not, I quite like Bradley, or if Robertson is injured, potentially you could go back to Tsimikas, who's been quite good for us at points previously. And Gusto and Porro, again, good for the... they've both got doubles coming up, both of them. So they could be good long-term, as long as you can manage without Spurs assets in 34.
Yeah, and I think this team looks much better, to be honest, compared to the last week. And
I think one of more like a wild card team, I think.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think one of the important things is many of us have Watkins. So one of the shift from Watkins, because they are playing 30, they're playing a much weaker defense. So, and then I think Aston Villa's fixture turn. So Darwin would be a good option.
And they've not got the chance to double either, have they? So I think going for those players like Jackson, like Darwin, who have got that chance to double, is the way to go moving forward. I think it'll be scary not opening Watkins, because I'm sure he'll still continue to get some points. True. But I think it's worth the risk to go to some of the others that have got those doubles and better fixtures.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. You didn't look at the zonal data and you prepared your wildcard. So let's see how much of your wildcard actually matches with the one that zonals are suggesting. Here it is. Take us through.
I think it's pretty good. I think I'm quite pleased with it, which is nice. So yeah, again, so I basically, just to clarify where I am, so I've used my wild card already. I used it a couple of weeks ago, I think around 27, 28. So I don't have a wild card, but this is the team I'd be wild carding now if I had one, and it's the team I'm kind of trying to move towards in the next week or two with transfers. I also have a free hit, so that I'm going to play in game week 34. So again, I can have triple Spurs in there, which other people might not be able to if they need to use transfers to get get through that double and blank. Yep. So just a few comments. So basically, I think Salah, Palmer and Saka, Haaland are all locked into pretty much everybody's teams. But that they obviously take up Salah, Saka and Haaland themselves take up quite a lot of budget. I'm really lucky that I've got quite a good bank balance, so I can afford to also add Son into there. But I understand that not everybody will. But even with my good bank balance, I've still got to make sacrifices elsewhere. So quite a lot of my other players I have gone quite cheap with. So somebody like Muniz as an eighth attacker has some really nice fixtures both now and come the end of the season. So you could just hold him and bench him when you don't want him. Ait-Nouri, again, quite a cheap defender, but has some nice fixtures coming up. Gusto, Chelsea have doubles coming up. We've just got to be wary of James potentially coming back at some point, so keeping an eye out there. Branthwaite, Everton, again, have been really good defensively, and he's popped up every now and again with a goal too. So I like him as an option. Obviously, Porro is coming up really nicely on the zonals, but it's just about that affordability, and I couldn't afford Porro as well as the rest of this team. I've gone for Jackson. I've gone for that triple up for Chelsea. So I've got the Chelsea players for their 2 doubles. I've gone for the Spurs players. So I've got them for their doubles. And then I think my only other potential is I would love Havertz in there somewhere. So maybe at some point I might do a hop between Maddison and Havertz to reach Havertz for his doubles and things, or nice fixtures, and then swap back again for the Spurs at the end of the season. I've got Onana in there because they double as well at a future point, whereas Leno doesn't. But I just like Leno in general. The only other thing I would have potentially had is swap Leno out for a double game week keeper, and maybe had someone like Castagna in there as well, having seen the zonal for his attacking returns too. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy, and I think it matches up quite well with the zonal. So
it does, and I'm surprised that you picked Nicholas Jackson. I just want to caution everyone watching
games recently. Lots of people have been like, "Oh, Chelsea are awful," but I've watched the Chelsea games recently, and he's looked good, and he's scored regularly. He's in form. I think he's got goals in the last few, and actually, when I've watched him, he could have had more. So I like it. And at my rank at 500k, I've got to go slightly different in a few places. Sticking with Watkins isn't going to get me anywhere. Or going with Darwin, who most people are going to go to, also probably isn't going to get me that far. So I quite like the differential pick.
Okay. Well, good luck. I have burnt myself with Jackson, and I think I'm done. But those who are watching, just be cautious and don't blame us for if Jackson doesn't fire. Yes, Bethany already said he could have got Mo. She said it already, so that's a warning itself. So he could have got more, but he didn't, and that could be the next answer that we would probably go. All right.
Let's see how I'm feeling in a few weeks' time.
Okay, we will see about it. But it's pretty interesting, and I think I'm really impressed with the team, and I think the budget that you have, that you can afford Haaland, Salah, Saka, Son, Maddison, and Palmer. And I think that's really good. And if you downgrade Maddison, you easily get Havertz, so that's great. I think the defense pick themselves. Branthwaite is a very interesting shout, so I like it. All right, let's see the new way to play. It's Fantasy Challenge, and I think this is quite interesting given the fact that zonal is quite suitable, at least for one game week. And when you don't have transfers to worry about in this particular game, you can basically just look at the zonal team of the week or the zonal chart, and then just pick the best players, and then that's it. Forget about the rest. So here it is. Take us through. This is the first team.
Yeah, so basically, for those who don't know and haven't heard about it yet, Fantasy Challenge is a new, completely separate game that has been brought out that you can play on the app. And basically, it is like having a free hit every single week. So your team resets every week, but there's a different challenge. So the first week is unlimited budget, and I think the second week is all of your forwards score twice. So basically, there's a different challenge every week, and so you can pop in and out. If you forget to play a week, it's not going to matter. You're not getting any accumulated scores. It's literally just done on a week by week basis, which I think is really nice. And yeah, it gives you a chance to kind of have some punts that maybe you can't get to in your own team, or kind of because you can't afford, or you don't have enough transfers or anything, but you can really attack that specific game week. So I really like it. Yeah, so looking at these, I think this is pretty similar to the one I've gone for in my own zonal. I've gone for the double Fulham defence. Like I said, Leno's done really well for me. I think they're playing Sheffield. Castagne's got attacking returns and in them, and obviously we saw last week, like, what, 4-0 versus Spurs. If they can do that to a team like Spurs, what can they do against a team like Sheffield? So yeah, I love the triple up on Fulham there. Again, Spurs and Chelsea, I think, speak for themselves. I think I also really like Højlund, because Højlund is one of those players that I really like, and I just can't squeeze him into my team because there's too many forwards that I like. But I think against a Brentford team that did terribly and let in goals last week, I think he could do really well. So yeah, it's nice having that option to be able to bring him in. Again, somebody like Garnacho on the bench. I probably wouldn't be going for Miroslav for the reasons I've already stated about Brentford. So I'd probably go for somebody else there. But otherwise, I think this is a really nice team, and it's got enough kind of difference, because I think that's what you've got to go for in these teams. It's a bit like those players that win team of the week every week and they get 150 points when the rest of us are on 80, and they've got random picks in there that nobody else has picked. And I think you've got to have some sort of differential if you're hoping to win. So I think, for example, double Fulham defence or Højlund or somebody like that, going for enough of those in there gives you that chance of winning. So yeah, I really like it. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, if this is the game that interests you, then zonal is the thing that should be more interesting for you. So do watch out, and of course, subscribe to our channel. I think that's it for the day. It's been a little bit of longer than we usually do. It's been around, but there was so much to cover, to be honest. So yeah, that's that. But thank you so much, Bethany, for taking us through 𝐿𝐸 30 and 𝐿𝐸 31, and of course the FPL challenge and the team of the weeks and your wildcard. But our audience, thank you so much for staying with us. And of course, we'll be back for 𝐿𝐸 32. But until then, take care. Don't forget to log in and register yourself for the new game fantasy challenge. And of course, don't forget to subscribe our channel. But until then, take care. Bye-bye.